We trade in the Isonix for another Maladrix semi-mirror, this time accompanied by 3 squads of Tanuki and Tuck. Tuck is interesting because he gives you some coverage if you lose an order marker, but I think more Tanuki is just better, as with only 6 of them, you lose the ability to maximize their movement bonding so quickly. I actually end up sitting a Legionnaire this time around instead of an FHG, which, in hindsight, I think is probably incorrect, but I might have just been experimenting with it since this game didn't actually matter. I decided to open with 1x on Exiles and 2-3 on Maladrix, which still seems reasonable. This map has Dagmar on the left and I think Valda on the right. With Dagmar, I like having Maladrix come in playing for the switch, and developing Exiles a bit ahead of that is also nice. We see a similar 2-2 order marker split from our opponent between Maladrix and the Tanukis. The streak continues, and I lose opening initiative, and we see Tanukis roll out. My OM1 is on Exiles, and watching this back, I think I like this move, but I'm not certain. My original plan was to just slightly move up the Exiles on this order marker without exposing them to danger. However, when it actually got to me in-game, I realized that I could get shots on 2 different Tanukis with powder here, using up to all 4 shots, and 2 of them being from height. And I decided to take those shots, despite it overexposing the Exiles if I missed the attacks. Even if I get both, 2 other Tanukis would still be able to attack the Exiles in retaliation too, which is 1 Exile kill on average. I do end up getting both Tanukis, so it pays off pretty well. I think the upside of killing 1/3 of the Tanukis here is worth it, but there's also an argument that I'm ahead enough in this matchup that I shouldn't take that risk, though I think it's plus EV enough to outweigh the risk premium there, but I'm not sure. His order marker 2 is on Maladrix, who we see roll up the middle, while FHGs spread out across the map. My 2 is also Maladrix, and I have to be quite careful here, because his FHG can grab the move glyph, and then everything else will have 8 move for that turn. I'm using the red dice here to mark where Maladrix will go, and the blue dice to plan out FHG spots. I end up moving up onto level 2 plateau, but not next to any heighted spots, and screen for FHGs with my Maladrix, because she is very unlikely to die in 1 turn, and I want to have most of my FHG alive for the possible initiative switch. My Exiles are at risk here, but they're also screening for my FHG reasonably well, and anything that attacks them is going to be giving up height to my FHG across the potential switch. His OM3 is on Maladrix, and having seen all of his order markers now, I think that the Tanuki moving up so aggressively on order marker 1 was a clear mistake. I don't inherently dislike the order marker 1, but they should have moved much more cautiously to where I don't get the free shots on them later in the round. Anyways, an FHG takes Valda, but not Dagmar, and the other 4 come in to attack, 2 with height on Exiles, 1 into Maladrix, and 1 even ground with an FHG and an Exiles. I think my opponent might have missed a dice here with the first heighted attack, but I'm not certain. The FHG end up getting 1 kill, 1 of the Exiles where they had height, and then 8 move Maladrix, damn, that's a scary sentence, comes in to hit my Maladrix, but rolls like crap and I take no wounds. My 3 is on Maladrix as well, and I start by having 1 FHG take Dagmar. I think my opponent should have blocked this instead of taking that even ground attack with the far bottom FHG, as the initiative switch is just too good for me here. My other FHGs on the left are kinda stuck with so many things engaged, so they just pivot slightly to where if I can get that even ground kill this turn, then I can rotate to height on the following order marker. I do get that 1 FHG, and then Mal attacks, killing 1 FHG and putting 3 wounds on his Maladrix. Going into round 2, I have Dagmar, but I've already lost an Exile, so I think I should have 3 order markers on Maladrix and 1 on Exiles here, with the X usually on Exiles, but order marker 2 or 3 on them at a low frequency. I need to always have order marker 1 on Maladrix so I can take height on his Mal. I end up putting 1, 2, 3 on Mal and the X on Exiles here, and my opponent has 2 order markers each again on Maladrix and Tanuki. I do win initiative, and oh look, I try to take Maladrix's turn first. What a surprise. I do back out of it and take height with my FHGs, 1 on a Tanuki, 2 on the FHG at the bottom, one is even and one with height, and the final one on an FHG on the top with height, and get all 3 kills. My Maledrix then takes height, but only puts 1 more wound on his Maledrix. His order marker 1 is on Mal, and his last FHG takes even ground on my FHG, but fails to kill it. His Mal then takes even ground with my Mal and also engages 2 of my FHG, but takes an LEA wound in the process, and his Mal fails to wound my Mal, but does infest her. Back to me, and I'm checking to see if my Mal fits on max height, which she appears to. My 1 free FHG engages its Nuki in the start zone, and the other 3 stay put. I get the lucky kill on the start zone Tanuki, but miss the others, and my Maledrix then takes height and finishes off his Maledrix. His order marker 2 was on Maledrix, and is now on FHG, but there's only 1 left, and it misses its attack. My order marker 3 is on Maledrix, and because I can't get to the remaining Tanukis well with my FHG, I end up taking a defensive position and take Dagmar, and get a kill on an FHG, and then end up sending Maledrix to lower ground nearer the Tanukis. I think this was a mistake though, and I should have just gone to the other max height, because as we then see, my opponent rolls to drop Tuck and succeeds. But he doesn't end up moving the order marker 3 to Tuck, leaving it on Tanukis, so Maledrix doesn't take the heighted attack. Tanukis end up both attacking FHG, but I block both of them, and he misses the chestburst roll on my Maledrix. Going into round 3, I still have all my FHG left, so I should be going with a 3-1 distribution here between Maledrix and the Exiles again, which I do, with the 1-2-X on Maledrix and the 3 on Exiles this time. I do win initiative again with Dagmar, and yep, I try to use Maledrix first again. Jesus, Perkins. I do back out of it at the last minute, and engage the remaining Tanuki and Tuck with my FHGs. I get the 1 Tanuki that I triple engaged, and Maledrix takes height on the last Tanuki, killing it. My opponent's order marker 1 was on Tanuki and is now dead. My 2 is on Maledrix, and we see FHG charge Tuck and take Valda, so that Maledrix can also reach Tuck. I end up doing 2 wounds to Tuck across all these attacks. Tuck has the order marker 2, but fails to kill an FHG. My 3 is on Exiles, who take height and use powder, but do no wounds. Tuck has the 3, and finally kills one of my FHG. My opponent then rolls for Chestburst and hits the nat 20, insta-killing my Maledrix. I remember rooting for this in-game, actually, because I was going to win regardless, so it was kind of fun seeing the Chestburst roll go through, in a spot, where it wasn't going to actually punish me. I don't have Dagmar this time, and lose initiative, and we see Tuck kill another FHG. My 1 is on FHG, but I do no wounds to Tuck. His 2 is on Tuck, who kills another FHG. My 2 is on FHG, who finally finish off Tuck and also kill the respawned FHG, ending the game. Chris Perkins vs. Boromir. Mirror matchup, top of the bracket. Reminds me of last year. Fun fact, at this point in the event, we had only lost 1 collective game to someone else between the 2024 and 2025 GenCon main events. Last year in Swiss, Boromir beat me, but lost to Earthling, and then I beat Boromir in finals. And we both enter this game at 5-0 this year. That puts us at a collective 23-1 versus other players across those 2 events at this point. Not bad. Last year it was a semi-mirror, this time it's a full mirror. Makes sense. I think it's the best army, so I'm unsurprised that Boromir reached the same conclusion. We have Loden on the right side, and I can't tell what glyph is on the left side. We both end up sitting in FHG here. We take a different order marker approach to round 1, though, with me putting 2 order markers each on Maledrix and the Exiles, while Boromir puts 3 on Maledrix and 1 on Exiles. I have the 1X on Mal with 2-3 on Exiles, with the hope of developing Mal a bit and then getting an Exile powder in on order marker 3, either to kill most of the FHGs or to put heighted shots into Maledrix,
trying to set up a round 2 where I have my Maladrix and FHG developed and whole, but he has his Mal and FHG meaningfully wounded. I once again lose round 1 initiative, and his Maladrix and FHG develop together on the far side of the map.
I'm using the red dice here to mark out the threat range of his units, so if I don't advance up to the point of the dice, then I can't get attacked on the following turn. I end up putting Maladrix as far forward as she can get without being next to the level 3 height, and use her to screen for most of my FHG, knowing that I don't have another order marker on them this round, so I don't want to expose them. Boromir then moves up slightly more forward to where he can engage my Maladrix on the following turn with his Maladrix. My 2 is on Exiles, and I use my dice to count out where I can put them safely, which isn't very far. I send 2 out to the far side to where they can reach level 3 on the following turn, and the other 2 stay behind the Maladrix FHG screen because there's nowhere safe to move further forward. Boromir's 3 is on Maladrix, and she and the FHG move up onto the height outside my start zone, not taking any attacks, but taking good defensive positions for the impending potential initiative switch. My order marker 3 is on Exiles, and my broad goal here is to kill FHG, as my 3v6s into Mal aren't very good. I roll pretty hot here, and get the 3 FHGs surrounding Maladrix. Going into round 2, I have more interesting order marker decisions than Boromir does here. He mostly just has to put all of them on Maladrix and hope it goes well, as his other units are far away from the fight, while I want to get value out of my Exiles while minimizing the odds that I lose order markers. To that goal, I put 1 order marker on Exiles and 3 on Maladrix. My Exiles are set up to where Maladrix can't stay on height and attack multiple of them, so that helps a bit. I'm also never taking 2 real order markers on Exiles here, so I think 1-3 is the right distribution, with the 1 on Exiles at a high frequency, but the X there at a low frequency. This time I end up putting 1-2-3 on Maladrix and X on Exiles. This is certainly the safer play, but it also has less upside if I were to win initiative. This time I lose initiative, and Boromir has a tough decision of where to go and what to attack. The FHG takes height on my Exile, which makes sense, but I block that attack. Mal then comes in on my Maladrix, killing an Exile and putting 1 wound on my Mal. My order marker 1 is on Maladrix, and my FHG surround his FHG as much as possible, because if I can get it, then my Mal can take height. I do end up killing that FHG and putting a wound on Maladrix, and then my Mal takes height for the 2x 5v5, and I roll 8 out of 10 skulls, putting either 4 or 5 total wounds on his Maladrix. Boromir's order marker 2 is Maladrix, who is pretty stuck now, and ends up staying and killing 2 of my FHG. My 2 is on Maladrix, and I'm using the red dice to count out the threat range of what his Exiles could hit if his order marker 3 is there instead of on Mal. My FHG end up just taking height, staying out of Exile range, and ensuring that Maladrix can't get up on height either. My Mal then kills his Mal, burning his order marker 3. My 3 is also Mal, and I advance towards his start zone to where I can engage stuff if I get the initiative switch. Going into round 3, I think I should once again have a 3-1 split between Maladrix and Exiles, this time with the 3 on Exiles a lot and the X there sometimes. This time I put the 3 on Exiles, so I have the 1-2X on Maladrix, and Boromir goes with a 2-2 split between Exiles and Bugball. I lose initiative, and Boromir moves the Exiles up in a way that they create a screen for Bugball, indicating Bugball probably has the 2 and 3 on it. Exiles then use Powder, but only kill 1 FHG. My 1 is on Maladrix. The FHG kills 1 Exile, and then Mal moves in and gets another. Watching this back, though, it might have been a mistake to come in here and let Bugball engage Mal. Order marker 2 is on Bugball, who comes in and hits Mal, doing 2 wounds across the 4x 3v5. My 2 is on Mal, and the FHG pivots to hit the far exile, missing it. Mal then hits Bugball, doing 1 wound, and then hits the exile, killing it. Order marker 3 is on Bugball, who hits Mal again, and finishes her off this time. Thankfully, I have the 3 on Exiles, who take height and use Powder on Bugball. They do 1 wound and burn 1 Legionnaire. Going into round 4 now, there's not much point in using that single FHG, so I end up going with the greedy order marker distribution of 3 on Exiles and 1 on Bugball. It's a reasonable spot for it though, since my Bugball is so far away from the action, there's not much benefit in hedging. I win initiative, and I have 1 on Exiles. I set up a triangle position that denies Bugball reaching even ground with them, and use my last powder into Bugball, burning 2 more Legionnaires. Boromir has order marker 1 on Bugball, who pops off the Legionnaire in order to get 2 attacks, and both go through, killing 2 Exiles. My 2 is on Exiles, and my last Exile attacks Bugball, trying to burn the order markers, but I miss. His 2 is on Bugball, but both attacks fail to kill my Exile. My 3 is on Exiles, and he runs back around to take height on Bugball, and does kill him this time. And Boromir concedes at that point with 1 Legionnaire and 1 Exile left against my full health Bugball, plus the Exile and an FHG. A few higher level considerations on this game for both of us. After the game, Boromir joked that we should have just timed out and taken a tie, as it would have left us both 5-0-1 and guaranteed the top 2 seeds, and hence couldn't have faced each other again until finals. While amusing, if that was actually within the rules, I have no idea if it was or not, it would absolutely have been correct for both of us, as guaranteeing that we don't have to face each other in top 4 or top 8 increases both of our percent chances to win the overall event. Second, I think I actually made a mistake by trying to play this game well, which sounds odd, but hear me out. Winning this game had little benefit. It guaranteed me the 1 seed, but there's no reason that the 32 seed will be a better matchup than the 31 or 30 or 29 seed if I fall to a slightly lower seed. So winning this game isn't really worth anything, aside from 6-0 being cool, whereas there's actually a decent chance we meet again in finals. When the final bracket came out, I thought me versus Boromir was one of the 4 or so most likely finals matchups. And if I play this game well and we meet again, I'll be providing insight into how I think about this mirror matchup, which lowers my win rate in that theoretical finals game. Odd situations, but both honestly worth noting as, quote, mistakes that I made this game. That wraps up the Swiss portion of the main event, and we will come back tomorrow for the top 32 single elimination bracket. Welcome back. GenCon Day 3, Heroscape top 32 cut. We are ready. We are excited. We are the 1 seed. We went 6-0 yesterday. 6-0 yesterday doesn't matter anymore. We got to win 5 in a row. So I ran the army that I was planning on running: Maledrix on Festering Honor Guard, Oathbound Legionnaires, Oathbound Phalanx, Exiles, Sit 1. More convinced than ever that it's the best possible army for the format. I don't think anything is favored over it in the entire field. That doesn't mean it can't lose. It absolutely can lose. It's a close game with the Icenics. I know the players who are playing Icenics think that the Icenics have the advantage there. I think that the Mal army with Oathbound has the advantage there, but either way it's close. Like, at best, it's a 60-40 in one direction, and it's almost certainly closer than that. So it's a very close game. It's a very tight matchup. It really comes down to how well Scav rolls versus how quickly you can take Scav down with Mal on the Festering Honor Guard in the optimal versions of that matchup. So it's a good army. That's definitely the second best army, in my opinion, still. It's just got so much potential to kill whatever it needs to at any point in time in the game with Scav. Double injecting Scav for the numbered order marker, and then the X is just absurd. You just can chuck 14 dice at something, 16 if they let you get height. It's just nuts. So it's powerful. The most common army that made the top 32 cut, however, is Maledrix, Festering Honor Guard, Major Q11, and Revenant Acolytes. I get how it did well. It is a good army. It has Maledrix. That's good. I don't think Q11 is very good. I don't think Q11 beats Maladrix head-to-head. I don't think Q11 does well in endgames on these maps. Basically, any map with Wannick, he is going to truly hate life in the in-game scenario. And there's really no way to mitigate that if your opponent is playing towards that proper endgame. There's just a lot of ways that you can tie him up with Legos or Exiles and take Wannick, and there's just nothing he can do but just take LEA after LEA after LEA and then wait until you get Wannick, and it's just pretty brutal. There's just really no way to avoid it. Maladrix can just infest him, and if she just infests him, you just have this massive ticking time bomb because he's the only thing you've got left after the Mal v Mal opening. So, like, if you don't win the Mal v Mal opening, you are cooked in that matchup. And even if you do, it's not impossible. Like, Oathbound definitely could still beat Q11. Q11's only getting a one attack a turn into them, as long as they all stay on the bug ball. And so if they can close that gap quickly, they're going to get a lot of 3v6s, like 4, and then maybe another 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 2, and then 1. So it's a tough nut to crack there. There's also a couple Tanuki builds that made the top cut. There's a couple iterations of Maladrix Festering Honor Guard with 4 Tanukis, which is pretty good. There's one iteration of Maladrix 3 Tanukis and Tuck Harrigan. There's one iteration of Mal 3 Tanukis and Decker the Burrow Breaker. I think both of those armies are just clearly suboptimal. There's a couple versions of the Icenic pod that don't have the Necrotech Wraith Riders. I think those are also incorrect. They're all the same, so it's going to be Iron Lich, Scavarith, Grave Grim, and Revenant Acolytes. Now, are Acolytes good there? Yeah, of course Acolytes are good there. They're good heroes to put Acolytes on. The problem is that both heroes just really want to be able to move around a lot. But I think the bigger issue there for that army is that those games, when played properly by Maladrix, go really fast. I am convinced that the optimal way to play that from the Maladrix side of things is to boat rush them in round 1. You just pack it together, put all your order markers on Mal, and just ship Mal and that honor guard across the board straight out to the Icenics. I think that's the best chance you got. It forces them to not develop Iron Lich very aggressively, because if they do, you get to him first. GG's if you kill Iron Lich. GG's if you even put 3 to 4 wounds on Iron Lich in round 1. Their order markers in round 2 have become hell, and there's just nothing they can do about it, because they put them all on Lich and you win initiative, the game is over. If they don't put them all on Lich, they're down to 1 turn per order marker instead of 2. It's a bad spot for them to find themselves in. So preview for today. My first round opponent has Adalburn with Frostclaw Paladins, Exiles, and Fia Bonnie. That is non-bonding Fia. I've been going back and forth on what I'm supposed to open in this game. I'm pretty convinced that in Theory World, I'm supposed to open Exiles. The matchups that I want are Exiles into Bears, Maladrix into Exiles and partial Bears, or Maladrix into Fia. All those things are good. Basically anything but Maladrix into all 5 Bears at once, where she might die. And then Oathbound is pretty good into both Exiles and Fia, and not so great into Frostclaws as a whole. He's actually pretty good into Adalburn by himself, because he can pound Adalburn with attacks of 3. And Adalburn can only take 1 off at a time, but he's not very good into overall Bears. If all the Bears hit him together, he's going to go down pretty damn quickly. All that being said, even if Exiles is the correct opening in theory, I talked with a few people yesterday, and they all convinced me that I'm crazy, and I need to just open in a way that makes me not lose the game in a flip if we have Exiles v Exiles and his Exiles win. My plan is to either open Exiles Mal Mal or just Mal Mal Mal. It's going to depend on the map and what the glyphs are as to which of those I'm going to go with. I don't know which it is yet. I'm going to get in a little bit early so I can take a look and plan out the full opening. That is the plan. GenCon Day 3, baby.
Pretty happy with the matchup draw here, as I dodge both an Icenic build and a Maladrix Mirror or Semi-Mirror. Frostclaws and Adalburn are definitely a solid piece overall, but I have a lot of good pieces to counter Exiles with, and solo non-bonding Fia is honestly pretty bad. I suppose she's decent into Tanukis, but generally you just shouldn't be running non-bonding pirate heroes, as you're going to be overpaying for what you get absent the bonding squad. The map isn't a great one for Maladrix, however, as she can't fit on the side max height spots nearer to the glyphs, as those snow trees block her legs from fitting anywhere on either snow 7 hexer. But there is Dagmar, which is great for me, as it's easier for me to control that from round 1 into round 2 with Festering Honor Guard than for any piece my opponent has, except for maybe a pure Frostclaw opening. Given the presence of Dagmar, I decided to go with the pure Maledrix opening here, ideally hoping to lose round 1 initiative, but putting myself in the best spot to control Dagmar going into round 2 regardless. And we see our opponent has 2 order markers each on Exiles and Frostclaw. My initiative luck has begun to wane, however, as I win the opening initiative this time. I move up Maledrix and the FHG as far as they can go towards Dagmar without being within Exiles range. His order marker 1 is on Exiles, who move up fairly conservatively themselves, which makes sense as they can't get shots in regardless. My 2 is on Maledrix, and there's 2 options to consider here. Either the Exiles have another order marker, or there are 2 order markers on Frostclaws. I think the dominant distribution here should be 2 order markers on Frostclaws, as if Exiles have the 2 but nothing else, it leaves them forward vulnerable and too far away from the Frostclaws for the bears to close the gap and counterattack anything on their order marker 3. I end up moving forward pretty aggressively as a result, figuring either the order marker is on Frostclaws and I can't get attacked, or if it is on Exiles, I can then wipe the Exiles on my order marker 3 while taking Dagmar without fear of retribution from the Frostclaws. I put 3 FHGs on height and send the last one around the Dagmar side. His OM2 is on Exiles, who move towards the center of the map in a clump, use Powder, and attack Maledrix, doing just 1 wound across the 4 attacks. My 3 is on Mal, and I'm pretty happy with the board state here. I still have all 4 FHGs, I have unopposed access to Dagmar, and the Exiles are now sitting ducks. I take Dagmar and use my dice to count out the bear's threat range to make sure that they can't get any attacks in on their order marker 3. I end up engaging Exiles with 2 FHG, while the final one covers Mal's other side on height, but the FHG miss both attacks. Mal then comes in and kills 2 Exiles. It's worth noting here that the bears can engage Mal, but they would have to run to do so, and then mostly be on low ground, which I'm 200% fine with, given that I am on Dagmar. His OM3 is on bears, and Adalburn moves up, followed by 3 of the Frostclaws. It looked like Pins had forgotten to move one of them, so I reminded him, and we see that last bear joining the others. Going into round 2, my only real option is to put all 3 order markers on Mal and the X on Exiles. I suppose this is a spot where, in theory, the 3 should be on Exiles at some tiny frequency, but I'm probably never doing that in practice, to be honest. And we see Pins put 3 order markers on Frostclaws and 1 on Exiles. Dagmar picks a brutal time to fail me, as we lose initiative to Pins' Nat 20, and Pins gets the switch, which is about a 10% combo with Dagmar involved. Oof. Painful time for the 10%er to come in. If I had 1 initiative here, I was going to put Mal in the middle, engaged with the 2 Exiles and that 1 bear, and attack that bear, which would have blocked Adalburn and prevented him from getting any crushing blows off, and blocked off all the bears behind him. Instead, Adalburn moves in and crushes the middle Festering Honor Guard and attacks Mal, doing 2 wounds. Frostclaws follow him in and kill the FHG on height. My 1 is on Mal, and I'm in a bad spot now. My plan here was to bring the FHG off Dagmar to cover Mal's height, but as you've seen me do far too many times this GenCon, I transposed the order of Mal and Festering Honor Guard in my head, and thought that Mal went first. So my actual thinking in-game was that Mal would bypass the heighted attack on the 1 bear, and instead attack even ground, leaving the bear on low ground for the FHG to attack later, trying to go for more upside here and potentially get 2 to 3 Frostclaw kills on this turn. So I declare that Mal will attack the even ground Frostclaw and roll for it, and the bear blocks it. And it is then pointed out to me that I have done the bonding in the wrong order, and at this point there's nothing I can do to fix this one, as I've already rolled the dice. So, Mal has 1 attack left, and I ship the second one down into the other Frostclaw, since it's a better attack, and wound it but fail to kill it. I then say I'm done, also forgetting to roll for Infest on Adalburn. His order marker 2 is on Frostclaws, and I'm pretty much dead now. Having not moved the FHG, bears can now take height and just pummel Mal, which they do. Adelburn steps forward and crushes the other FHG, at which point I remember that I had forgotten to roll for Infest, but am told that it's too late to do it now as my opponent has revealed an order marker and started moving. Adelburn then puts one more wound on Maledrix. Frostclaws surround Mal, but only do one wound, so she survives with 1 life. My 2 is on Mal, and the FHG takes max height and rolls 3 out of 3 skulls, but it's blocked. Ow. After a bit of thinking, I decide I'm better off wounding the other Frostclaws to give Exiles a better chance where maybe they can kill wounded Frostclaws. So Maledrix attacks the even ground ones, wounding one and killing the other. I then hit the Infest roll on Adelburn, which does give me a possible win condition now that I can play for Adelburn getting chest bursted. His order marker 3 is on Frostclaws, and Adelburn takes height and finishes off Maledrix. Frostclaws spread out, staying on height, and kill my last FHG. My order marker 3 is on Maledrix, but she and all of the FHG are dead, so that order marker is burned. I then miss the first chest burst roll on Adelburn. Going into round 3, neither of us are on Dagmar. I think this is a spot where I should have a 3-1 order marker distribution between Exiles and Bugball, as if I'm going to win, I need Exiles to do a ton of work here, and Bugball is better into Fia anyways. I'm going to need Chest Burst to hit for me to have a chance, so I load up order markers on Exiles, hoping for them to kill Frostclaws in the ensuing exchange, with the X on Bugball. And Pins has 2 order markers on Frost, with 1 on Exiles and 1 on Adelburn. I win initiative and have the 1 on Exiles, but I can't do much here, as the Frostclaws are pretty well protected. Definitely a spot where I would have rather lost initiative. I end up spreading out my Exiles to where Adelburn can't get to any of them, and Frostclaws have to run to engage them, and save my powder. My plan is to powder on my order marker 2, and then engage for melee attacks on my order marker 3. Pins actually has order marker 1 on Exiles though, who shoot Bugball, doing 2 wounds and burning a Legionnaire. My 2 is on Exiles, and I want to get shots off from places where Adelburn can't engage them, so that if I get the kills, my Exiles all live. I rotate them all around to the far side from Adelburn and use powder. I wound 1 bear but don't kill it, and send 1 attack into an Exile because it's the only target, but it hits stealthy. His order marker 2 is on bears, and Adelburn moves closer, but stays next to jungle in the middle. The bears have to run to come in, but do get 1 kill from a bear that ran. My 3 is Exiles, and I have to engage to attack, so I do. I kill the unwounded bear, but it takes 2 attacks, and I can't quite finish off the other one. Bears finish off my last 2 Exiles, and I miss my second attempt at Chest Burst. Going into round 4, nothing to do but put all the order markers on Bugball and Prey. Pins wins initiative and has the order marker on Exiles, who burn 1 more Legionnaire. My 1 is on Bugball, and my only prayer here is to kill all of his Frostclaws and burn his order markers, and then have Adelburn die to Chest Burst. So I play for that. But Bugball can only engage 1 of them, so I pop off both Legionnaires, who can make it to the others, but I miss all 3 attacks. Pins' OM2 is on Frostclaws, and Adelburn comes in and finishes off Phalanx, and Frostclaws kill both Legionnaires, ending the game. One massive mistake on my part, combined with poor initiative luck throughout, and my Hail Mary plays not coming through, and we are out of this one after a short day. Congrats to Nick Elder, aka Nick the Ant, who ended up winning the whole event with Maledrix, Festering Honor Guard, and 4 squads of Tanuki Tricksters.